Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel of Evolution. My name is Shuby, and today, to bring all of us to our greatest potential, to unravel the mysteries and the metaphors and the symbolism throughout our history and our times, today I want to talk about fire, because it is such an incredible, powerful source that has just massively impacted our evolution as souls or species. And yeah, it's the sources fire creates for us is just ever abundant. And there's a quote that I am not a fan of that is the inspiration for this video, and that is, if you play with fire, you wind up burned. Really? You know, I don't like that. It kind of sounds like I should never play with fire. Well, that's pathetic, isn't it? You know? I mean, that's telling me, like, everything I did and everything I, like, you know, you just go to a fire and you pull a hot coal out of it and you play catch. It's good stuff. You try to walk across the coals. Yeah, why not, you know? And yeah, you do get burned from time to time. But what the heck, if you can't just live your life avoiding things because of the potential for pain, right? Because everything has a potential for pain. But look at fire as a source. You know, it has a potential to burn you. Well, yeah. But it also has a potential to cook food. You know, to break down certain lectins and activate certain compounds in certain foods and make them bioavailable. You know, it allows us to digest more, you know, and break it down more in our stomach so we can absorb more nutrients out of these certain foods. You know, it provides heat and shelter. It warms us in the cold. You know, and most incredibly, in all of the religious texts, you know, in all of the myths, it is really a humongous piece of light, right? It brings light to the darkness, and that is just fundamentally important to understand, because this is what we are all doing as souls on this planet. You know, we are here to bring things to the light, to bring things to our consciousness, to learn things, to ever expand and grow. You know, because what's the point of life if we just stay hidden under the covers and that our bubble, that's all we'll ever know. You know, nobody wants that life. You know, even those people in bubbles, something happens to where they just need to get out. You know, and explore something, to see something. The potential to get hurt is always present. And somehow, maybe because a lot of manipulated religions like to strike the fear of hellfire, and people like to have quotes like, if you play with fire, you wind up burned. And it's like they just drive that fear into you. Like, hey, don't do anything because it's dangerous. True. Absolutely true. Everything is dangerous. I just got into a massive chunk, like 2 tons worth of steel, and I sped that thing up to like 60 miles an hour. I could have hit a seagull, a tree, another person, who knows? The possibilities for pain and death and destruction. And that was just on my ride to work. And then I use power tools, like right now as we're in my current project where I'm rebuilding this house, and I play with saw blades and drills and all sorts of things that may take off a limb. Potential is there, but you can't focus on the one thing that might happen. Fire might burn you. But you could learn how to cook. You could see in the darkness. You can warm yourself in the cold. But stay away from it. You might get burned. What a bunch of shit. No, I'm going to continue to pull coals out of the fire and play catch with them. Because there is always something to see in the divine beauty of nature, right? Fire being one of them. I really like how, you can see different personality traits in that too. And this is why astrology used certain signs with certain elements, right? Because fire, air, water. These are all sources of energy, and earth, energy. And it's cool because the nature is so similar. You see fire and it's like, yes, they can be extremely roaring and light, bright, but they can also become destructive and tear everything down. It's like water can be extremely powerful and cut through mountains and raise tidal waves, but it can also be as serene as a morning lake with a flock of ducks and the sunlight hitting it, And Earth is just the womb for all life, No life can exist without its soil, but it's also sturdy and steadfast and structured, And air, we got hurricanes coming through, but you also have breath, and life, force. These elements, like people, like all of us, there is good and there is evil. There is potential for great and there's potential for destruction. This Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, right? Cain, Abel. Everywhere you look, some potential for destruction is there, but there is also a potential for good. And it sucks when somehow our psychology is set up to be more manipulated by the fear or the negative one, right? Stay away from fire because you might get burned because that hurt. Why is it so much easier to focus on the suffering, than to see the beauty in life? There's something I've noticed in my life too that sucks, but I can't always figure it out, and that's okay. But sometimes when you're that really positive person, you're just like, yeah, bright side all the time. Everything is freaking awesome and phenomenal. That one person in the room that every once in a while gets pissed and looks at you like, shut up, you loser. And he's just so mad at you because you're fired up and happy and like always looking on the bright side because you are just a ball of positive energy and light and vibrant vitality ready to lift the world up. And somebody's gonna be there to tear you down. Well, maybe that too falls into that energy dynamic, right? The potential for good and evil, for fire, burning people and destroying forests, or warming people and bringing light to the darkness. The potential is there in all of us, and the potential is there in everything. Your job as a human being with a beautiful soul is to see the facts, look at everything, and love it for its beauty and understand its depths. Sometimes that destruction of having your entire house burned down the entire forest burned down? What if, even though it's hard to handle, and it hurts, and it burns, what is also always present is the lesson. Because when you lose, or everything burns off, you're reminded of how big your heart is and how much you love. But if you're unwilling to open up to that and accept that you are just a divine being out to spread great positive shit and love everybody, because your ego says, I gotta be tough or macho or some messed up identity trigger that we have, and then all of a sudden we have to deny the fact that we are just infinitely in love with everything. Well, maybe not everything, but life in general. We have an understanding that is deep